Aw, shit. Here we go again.
Welcome to the Sloppy Book Club podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Celese. And we are on episode 14.
14, yes.
So sorry for... Yes, super excited. Because it's kind of a theme that I enjoy reading that we're going to be talking about later. So I'm super excited about it. But in the meantime, as you're going to notice, our sound is going to be a little wonky. We're doing a Zoom podcast. Just our schedules. We just couldn't meet up in person this time around. But we wanted to put something out there. We took a week off because I had a baby. But now we want to get back into the swing of things. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode as much as we will, because it's going to be a fun one. So we only have one wine review today, and that's from Jenny. And then after that, we're going to be talking all things romance, like romance novels, what we like about them, what we don't like about them. And then we have 2 romance novels that we're going to be talking about. Mine is more of a contemporary romance, and Jenny is a fantasy romance. So 2 different kind of romance stories, and I can't wait for us to get started. So first, Jenny, what is your wine that you're reviewing today?
Yeah, so I'm reviewing Roscato. It's actually my absolute favorite wine. Mm-hmm. I did pick a new one today because I was really craving this one. I haven't had it in a while. So I'm not really reviewing it. I'm just going to say that it's sweet and it's delicious.
Mm-hmm. And I've had it before.
Yes, I've already had most of the bottle.
Mm.
So
most of the bottle already?
I did. Well, while we were getting ready, I was sipping on it, not even realizing it. I'm pretty much almost done.
Oh my god. Well, I've had that before because I know you love it so much, and you brought it to the house before, or I've had it at your house, and it is sweet and it is really delicious. So that's a good one.
Cheap. Like, it's not even like a really good wine, it's just a good cheap wine.
Yep. And you can't go wrong with like a nice cheap wine, something that just to get you going. It doesn't have to be super fancy.
You don't feel bad about drinking the whole bottle in like one sitting?
Like you are right now? So this should be definitely fun, just in case she feels a little tingly from having a whole bottle already. But that's too funny. But yeah, I don't have anything today, unfortunately. I'm just drinking water, trying to keep my supply going for the baby. You know, with formula shortages, if you can breastfeed, you know, is the best way to go right now. Yeah, so might as well. Trying my best until I can't anymore. But we did wind up finding some formula just in case of emergencies, which is good. Right. So we have some in the house. But yes, so we're going to be talking about romance novels, especially because we are going to Romanticon, and that's coming up really soon. And we want to highlight some of the authors that we're going to be seeing. So I did one from Romanticon. I'm not sure if yours isn't, right?
No, I have one from Apolycon.
Oh, for Apolycon.
I'm currently reading another Romanticon book, but it's more YA, coming of age.
Okay.
But I'm still in the middle of it, so I'm just talking about an Apolycon author today.
Okay, awesome. Because those are both, what is it, like book conventions that we're going to be going to. One is Romanticon, so it's all romance novels and romance authors. And then Apolycon is just like a bunch of just different kind of genre themes, authors that we're excited about. They're both next month. I can't believe how fast that's coming along. So
I know.
One is in Connecticut, which is a Romanticon, and then the one in DC, they're both coming up really fast, so I'm super excited about it. I can't believe how fast the months have gone, and like we're slowly gonna be there soon.
Right.
So it's super exciting. All right, so let's talk about things that we like about romance novels. I know Jenny isn't a huge romance novel reader.
I am not.
It's something that I feel like I've been pushing you to do a little bit more, or introduce you to, but just because I love romance novels. I love the corny ones. I love the fantasy ones. It does not matter. The sci-fi. It could be anything. I just love romance. I just love happy endings and like cute little stories. So I know, Jenny, you're kind of new to it, but what are some things you're looking forward to when you do read a romance novel, or something that you didn't think you would enjoy that you do?
So the insta love.
Okay.
I always thought that was super cringy. Like reading any lovey-dovey, and that's in any genre. Like you have like the sci-fi, the fantasy romance, all that. The insta love is super kind of cringy to me, but I've learned to love it. Sometimes I'm like, oh yes, finally we're like in it. Chapter 1, okay.
Okay, yeah.
As long as it doesn't stay too like lovey-dovey for me, then I'm okay with it. I need drama.
Oh, is it the like, you hang up, no, you hang up.
I can't do it.
That kind of lovey-dovey?
That's too much.
I agree. It is a little cringy. It gets a little corny too. When it's like, and like you said, you want some of that drama. It has to have like that climax of like, oh my God, are they going to stay together because of this is happening? Or you don't really know. So yeah, the drama.
That's why I like the slow burn with the enemies to lovers kind of thing. That's why I love that, because it's like building up to it, even though you want to yell at the book.
Yes.
It builds up. Yes. So with insta love, if there's insta love, I need drama pushed into it, like somewhere. I need something to go wrong.
Yes.
Bad.
Yeah. Fully wrong. So with me, it's with romance novels, it are the meet cues, how they first like meet each other, like those kind of like picturesque kind of moments in time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. A good meet cute when they first team up. Like Love Hypothesis. She was it happened in a bathroom, and she had like old contact lenses, so she didn't even get to really see him or know who she was talking to until way later in the story. So that to me was super cute. Was just like, she didn't even know that, you know, months from now this would be her person kind of thing. And it was just like so stupid because she put on, you know, old contacts on her eyes, and her eyes are burning and blurry, and she's in the bathroom trying to like relieve the pain, and he comes in, and it's because she winds up in the men's bathroom. So I thought that was super cute. So me, it's like the meet cues is like when they first are introduced to each other, or they first meet each other. I've read some really crazy ones where one, she's at it was like a college romance, and she enters the bathroom really fast, and it literally says the first thing she notices is him holding his penis kind of thing. And that's like their meet their meet cute. Okay. It's her running into the bathroom, and the first thing she notices is him just holding himself as he's using the bathroom. And his friend is in the bathroom with him. Oh, God. So she's like, what the hell is going on here? So I think that was the funniest meet cute I've ever read. I forget what the name of the book is. I'll look it up and probably put it in the comments later. But that was the funniest one. It was a college romance. It was really, really cute. But those are my favorites. Things that make me cringe and that I don't necessarily like in romances are love triangles. They stress me out. They just stress me out. It's just like, I can't fall in love with two characters, and neither can you, main character. Let's not do this. Pick one and stay with it, because you're putting me on an emotional roller coaster I don't want to be a part of. So
I absolutely love it.
You love triangles?
I love it.
No, it stresses me out. It really does. It's just like, you have to pick one. And they're both really good, so it's like, how do you pick one? And then sometimes with love triangles, one is like the bad guy, and it's just like, but you don't want him to be bad because they were so cute together in the beginning. Why is he being this way? So, love triangles.
That is hilarious.
They stress me out. That. No, they stress me out.
Really so, did you read these Is it These Twisted Bonds? These Twisted Fates? Lexi Ryan. No?
No.
Okay, so that one has a really good one.
Okay.
A really, really good one. And I fell in love with both.
Really?
And I still love both.
Okay, but then that's tricky. So you know how I love Twilight, and that was a fucking love triangle, and that shit made me mad. So like love triangles, as long like I don't know. They just
I know they're stressful. I know, but there's always like that one. It's always you either absolutely hate one, absolutely love one,
right?
But then what if you love both? Like what if there's just a little bit of good and a little bit of bad in both of them?
Okay, like, so that gives me more anxiety because it's like, who is she gonna pick? Who is she gonna pick? Or he, you know, depending on the book.
That's hilarious. And the book I was talking about was These Hollow Vows.
These Hollow Vows. Okay.
Yes, it's such a good book. The second one comes out, I think, in July.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna be at a Polygon.
Oh, nice.
And
so
I'm gonna have to meet her.
All right, I'm gonna have to read that one for sure. Something I also like about romance novels are the slow burns. Like, you know, when it isn't instant, but you know they're gonna end up together, and you're just like, come on, guys, get it together so you can just be together. And then that hot moment when they finally, you know, make it official. So the slow burn is something I enjoy. So yes, the meet cutes, the slow burns, those kind of things. Things that I don't necessarily go for is the love triangles, but that's just me. It just stresses me out. It really does. I think it's more because I'm so bad at making decisions. And now in a story, it's like, you know, you want your happy ending, so you want to pick the right person. So it's
that's true. I know, but then you have like that slow burn. One way or the other for a really long time.
I guess what I love about love triangles is when the character, when the, say it's a female lead character and she's trying to decide between two male characters, is when those two male characters fight it out or like argue and stuff. I like that. Like when they're fighting for her attention or like, no, she's mine kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I like that part of it. I guess the toxicness of it. Maybe that part I enjoy, but like the deciding and like her being like, who do I choose? It just gets to be too much. So, but that's me.
All
right. So we have two stories that we're going to talk about. I have one, it's called Tequila Rose by Willow Winters, and I recently found out that she updated this book to a duet, so it's actually, you could get the two stories in one, and it's called Small Town Big Rumors.
I have that on my list.
You do?
I'm going to read it, yes.
Well, that's what I was telling you, because Tequila Rose, when I first read it, I didn't know it was a duet. So when I first read it, later on, I found out that she had combined the two stories into one. So like you didn't have to purchase both separately. You can just get it combined, and it's Small Town Big Rumors. So that's so funny.
That is funny. I literally just put that on my list maybe a week or two ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Willow Winters. So, well, I'm only reading book one, and so since you're definitely going to be reading it, I'm not going to talk too much about it.
You could spoil a little bit, but not too much. How about that?
Okay. I'll try my very best. Because, you know, some parts of it is like I'm going to have to kind of like say just because it's part of the story. So, like, just to give you some background, it is a love triangle. It is a surprise baby. It's a slow burn. There's angst, and then it leaves you on a cliffhanger. At least if you read the book separately. So, the first book is Tequila Rose, and I believe the second book is, like, Autumn Whiskey or Whiskey Autumn. But if you get the duet, it's called Small Town Big Rumors. So the main character is Magnolia, and she when we meet her, she's in college and she's really upset and she's eating cupcakes and drinking wine because her high school sweetheart just broke up with her and she's super depressed and sad about it. And so what she learned is like to get over one man, get under another kind of thing. So she's like, I'm going to go and get a rebound just so like I don't have to think about Robert, who is her high school sweetheart. They dated and she's just like devastated that he broke up with her over the phone.
Rude.
And under like 10 minutes or something like that. It was
God.
like a 10-minute conversation. And she's so upset about it because she was like, I was just with you like 2 weeks ago and we slept together and you made it seem like everything's fine and I'm gonna she went away for college and he stood, you know, close to their hometown in South Carolina. So everyone was like kind of like, why do you want to go away to college? But she just wanted the experience. So they've been long distance and she's like, I'm only a few months away from going back home. Like, I don't understand. It can't be because of the long distance. So she just didn't understand it. So, you know, she's, you know, eating her snacks, drinking her wine, and she's like, I'm going to go out. And she goes out by herself, which is, I wouldn't have done that. I would have called my girlfriends or something.
Right.
But she goes to a club and she meets a man, super attractive, she says. He buys her a drink. He buys her fried pickles, which she loves. And he says it's one of his favorite snacks. And they get along really well. And she feels this instant, like, chemistry, connection, like electricity. And she's, like, super into him. And she winds up going home with him. And he's only in town because he's house sitting for a friend. And we find out his name is Brody. And so Brody takes him to his friend's house that he's house sitting for. And they have their, you know, one night stand. But then that morning, she gets a call. And all we know is that changes her life forever is that one call. And we find out that later on that it's her father passed away. And of course the drama is that he basically embezzled money from the town and from the townspeople. So like there's a huge scandal and he fucks up their family name. And now she has to go back home to like fix his mess. And now everyone's looking at her like, oh, your dad embezzled money. And everyone's like, she's the talk of the town. And to make matters worse, 2 months later, she finds out she's pregnant.
Oh my God.
So she finds out she's pregnant. She has this big scandal that she has to go through. And she doesn't know who the father of the baby is.
Oh my God.
So, is it Brody's from the one night stand? Or is it Robert's from the 2 week ago? Like, she just doesn't know. So, in the whole story, you know, she tries to turn her life around. Robert winds up helping her, which kind of irks me. So it's a love triangle between Robert, Brody, and Magnolia. And Robert broke up with her. Yet when she comes back into town and has to deal with this scandal and deal with her pregnancy, Robert kind of sticks around as a friend, but a friend with benefits at times. And like helps her, but helps her without really being in a relationship with her. And I just don't understand why he broke up with her but is still willing to stick around.
Yeah.
That part just didn't make sense to me. So that was a little bit confusing. Now what happens is, of course, in a romance novel, the drama, Brody winds up moving into the town that Magnolia is in because he's opening up a brewery and a bar with that friend that he was house sitting for.
Yeah.
That particular friend it used to live in South Carolina too, so he wound up moving back home, and Brody working along with him. They're like, oh, we're gonna open up this brewery and this bar, and he's thinking about having settled down and living in a small town kind of thing. And he recognizes Magnolia, and she recognizes him. But the thing is, I forgot to mention, when she did her one night stand, she didn't tell him her real name. She said her name was Rose. She said her name was Rose, so he recognizes her, and he's like, oh my God, that's Rose. And he's always thought about her because of that connection, but he just never knew what happened to her because she just upped and left during that one night stand. Like, he never got to say bye or knew what happened to her. So, of course, Magnolia recognizes him, and she's like, oh shit. Like, this is the guy I had a one night stand with. I tried looking for him when I found out I was pregnant, but I didn't.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, she didn't know his last name. She was too drunk to remember where his friend's house was that he was house sitting for. So she couldn't go back to that place to be like, hey, do you know somebody named Brody? So she went years, this is 3 years later. So, her daughter is 3. And he comes back and she's like, oh my God. And he's into her. He's telling her he's into her and he wants to date her. And he's like, please give me another chance. And he thinks it's because he thinks she's standoffish because, one, she's a single mom, but he doesn't know the age of the baby. She's a single mom, so that's why she's standoffish. Or he did something during the one night stand that she didn't like, and he just didn't remember it. So he's just like, hey, please just give me a chance. I want to make it up to you. But in her mind, and she's saying this to her friend, she's like, I have to tell him he could possibly be the father of my daughter, kind of thing. So she's trying to deal with Brody, and here comes Robert, oh, I didn't know you wanted to start dating again. Why haven't you come to me? Kind of thing. But it's dude, you wasn't even making...
But wait.
Yes!
Was he, even trying to be in a relationship with her? Or was he just there for the vagina?
I feel like he was there for the vagina because she even said it, he didn't... everyone in town knew that they were probably still sleeping together or had an undercover relationship, but they never came out to it. And with Robert, he's trying to go into politics, so it doesn't look good in a small town to be affiliated with a chick whose father was in a huge scandal and who a college girl coming back pregnant. It just doesn't look good. So, of course, he's, keeping it low-key. And he helps her a lot. In the story, he helps her get, this small apartment for her and her daughter. And, she's always trying to pay rent to him, but he doesn't take it. But then he sleeps with her. It's really, really weird. It's a friends with benefits. It's he doesn't want people to know. But then it takes Brody coming in to be oh no, I want to be with you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it leaves us with a cliffhanger where she kind of wants to start this relationship with Brody, and Robert is no, pick me. What if I ask you to marry me kind of thing? Would you marry me? And that's how it ends. And that's my thing. I don't really like Robert, but then I also kind of have to think about maybe he didn't want to push her because he knew she was struggling and he just wanted to be that friend. But at the same time, it was if you had feelings, dude, you should have said something.
Right.
You don't wait until another man comes and swoops her to then be oh, pick me. No. Right. So this is where the love triangle gets... This is why I don't love love triangles, because now she's here's Brody, who's coming back into my life, and here's Robert, who's never really left, even though he broke up with me. And then Brody finds out the time frame of her daughter and her age, and he's like, could she be mine? And she's like,
shit.
And he's not mad about it.
Well, he shouldn't be, because she couldn't find him.
No, but like the fact that she didn't outright tell him, like he found out through his friend. He was like, oh, you need to, he was like, so when he moved into the small town, he knew that, you know, it was a small town and people gossip, but he didn't want to hear anything about Magnolia. He didn't want to know the gossip. He wanted to know her for her and for them to establish a relationship. He didn't want to hear gossip. But then the more, you know, the book progressed, he was like, what do you know about her? He was like, well, she has a daughter and she's 3. And he was like, wait, how old is she? When is her birthday? What's going on? So then he shows up at her house and he's like, hey, you didn't tell me about this. And so she was like, well, I don't know if you are the dad. So he's like, oh, you know, I'll take a test. And that's another thing. Robert knows everything too. And he never took a test to find out. So it was like he was keeping her at arm's length too. So it just made me mad.
I can see why a love triangle in this situation.
Yes.
You wouldn't like it.
So I'm not going to talk more about it because I do want you to read it. But it just frustrated me. Like, I enjoyed the story. I really did. It's not like any like super steamy scenes. You know, towards the end, Brody and Magnolia, they do have sex or whatever, and it's mentioned, but it's not like super detailed or anything like some of the other romance stories that I've read. You know me and my romance stories, so it's not as detailed. You just know that they have sex and it's good or whatever. But it's just, I can't wait to read the second part of it, the Autumn Whiskey, just so I can know who she picks, because I need to know. And I just don't understand how Brody wasn't upset more. Because I asked Angel about it. I was like, babe, what if you found out that you had a one-night stand with someone and you find out years later that you fathered a child and you didn't know? And he was like, I would be pissed. He was like, I would be so mad. He's like, Springfield is not that big. Somebody knows somebody. She definitely could have told me. He was like, let me have some like 10-year-old out there or something. I'm going to be so upset. So I'm like, so I was like, but what if she really couldn't find you? And he was like, no, she could find me.
Oh my God.
So he was so mad about it. He was like, no, I would be so upset. But I'm like, that's what I would think. I would think you would be upset at first and then be understanding. But he was completely understanding. I was just like, no, I don't think that would be a legit...
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Even if you knew, like, okay, she never could have found me because I didn't give her any information or we lived way too far apart, that's a whole 3 years of not seeing your child.
Exactly.
If that's
If that's your
your child.
child. And my thing is, why, like, I understand she didn't want anything from Robert, but what has she been telling her daughter? Because we never hear anything about her daughter. Given her daughter's only like 3 or 4, but I feel like still some kids would be like, where's daddy, kind of thing around that age, you know. Maybe not, it might still be a little bit young, but say it was 5, she was 5, what are you gonna tell her? What happened to her dad? Like, why didn't you have Robert do a test, a paternity test? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. It's just like, girl, you walking around with a baby and you don't know who the daddy is? And you have someone there that you can check? Like, are you crazy?
He probably wouldn't know because, you know, if his name is, like, big in the town, he probably wouldn't want to be associated with that, trying to figure out paternity test or whatever. But
but he could come slide through?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Hey, I'm not condoning it.
And he does these, like innuendos of, like, I forgot what it was, where she the baby, you know, she has flashbacks of, like, when the baby, you know, was an infant and was crying and she felt like she wasn't a good mom and Robert was there to, like, help her through. And there was one night where the baby kept crying, and he finally gets the baby to stop. And she's like, please don't stop doing that. And he was like, oh, I remember a time when you used to tell me that.
Okay, that's weird.
Boy!
That's weird.
Get out my face. Get out my face.
That's weird.
Because I remember a time when you would tell me that or something like that. And it's like, just put the baby to bed. That's all she asking for.
Yeah.
That's all she asking for.
Toxic relationship there.
Mm-hmm. And he'll be like, oh, do you want me to come back tonight kind of thing? How about take me out on a date?
Yeah, no.
So that's my beef with Robert.
Okay.
And my beef with Brody is like, you had to be angry at some point. You can't be too goody-goody.
Yeah.
So
that's what I don't like, the goody-goody.
Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you have every right to be upset. But then you have every right to then be understanding after.
You want to be mad, but then be happy with you after.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I need to know who this baby's father is. I'm hoping it's Brody's, just because I don't really like Robert. So I'm Team Brody. So when you read the story, you need to tell me who. When you read the first part, are you Team Brody or Team Robert?
Okay.
Because maybe you'll like Robert.
At this point, I'm digging Brody.
Right.
Just the little snippets that you're telling me, but we'll find out.
But maybe that's just because I like Brody, and I'm only saying the good things about Brody. Because, like I said, Robert was there. He was there for her. You know, she needed someone to cry on, or needed advice or help. He was there.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. It's a cute story. I think you'll like it.
Right.
But yep, that was Tequila Rose if you're just reading book 1. But the duet is Small Town Big Rumors by Willow Winters. And I really like her writing. So she's someone that I might have to read another story. Well, I'm reading the second part. But maybe another standalone or something. Because she has a couple.
Yeah, so I follow her, and all her books are so pretty, like all the covers. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of her books kind of like sitting on my list, and the anthology that I bought, the romance anthology, she's one of the authors on it.
Okay,
so
nice.
I'll be bringing that to Romance Con for her signing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk fantasy romance. What is your story?
All right. So I read A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova, and it's a part of the Married to Magic series. And Elise Kova has been on my radar, I guess, for a while, because a lot of people hype up her books, but I never really had an interest in reading it. They've just kind of been there in the back of my mind. Finally picked it up, and I fell in love.
Nice.
Yes, I absolutely love this book. And it's a series, but they're standalone, so you can read one or read all of them. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And I think there's going to be 5. And there's 2 out right now, but I think there's 5. Okay. I could be wrong. So it's about this human, Luella, and she's trying to figure out how to change the fates of the human queens. Like the human queens have like this big role in Midscape. Midscape is broken down into territories. There's the Fates territory, the Elven, and the humans. So for over like 100 years, there was like this treaty made between the Elvens and the humans, where a human female will be born one day of magic. So the humans don't have magic, right? But there's always this one female that will be born with magic. So once that happens, she has to kind of let it be known and start to be trained to become a human queen. Okay. So from like the day she was born, when she's a little teenager, if she comes out with magic, everybody knows that she's going to be the next human queen, so she has to be trained. So she'll be marrying the elf king, and the unity of both the king and the queen is pretty much what keeps the balance, what keeps like the magic going in the whole land. Mm-hmm. So at this point in the book, no human queen has been born with powers. So there's been years and years and years of no human queen. So everything has been kind of off kilter, and the magic is starting to fade. So this brings us to Luella. She's a 19-year-old healer from Captain. That's the human part of the world. And people are gradually starting to become sick because the magic is fading. So this little like section of their world, the humans tend to live a little longer than normal humans.
Okay.
Yeah. From what we know, because like I said, it's a standalone with like a whole series. So there's other parts that we don't know yet.
Right.
So they start to live a little longer than the rest of the humans, but they're starting to die off a lot quicker, and she's the only healer, so she's got a pretty important role. She's got a friend named Luke, who they've been friends forever. They've liked each other from a young age. They don't admit it at first, but you kind of know that they like each other because he gifts her things, and like one in particular is this necklace that she wears that she's worn for years. So I didn't really like him. At first, I thought it was going to be like a friends to lovers triangle kind of thing. Like she was going to get married and then he was going to be there. I hated him right from the beginning. So he was just kind of weird, like pushy almost.
Okay.
Almost like an insta-love, but she less from her end and more from his end.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So, like, quickly he starts to turn into, like, this childhood crush into, like, a creep. He's like, let's get out of here. Let's go get married. Let's just leave this world behind. And she's like, I'm the only healer.
Right.
I have to help people. I'm not leaving my family. And he's, like the first 2 chapters, he's, like, really, really freaking pushy. That's probably why I didn't like him. So, one day, the Elf King shows up, which typically doesn't happen. Usually when the queen is chosen or is announced or whatever, there's this big festival, coronation, whatever that happens. The Elf King randomly shows up one day. People are scared because there hasn't been a queen that has come out yet. So they're thinking he's going to come to just pretty much kill them off. So he gets there and he's threatening to take every single female across the Fade. The Fade is like this forest in between the human and the elven land. And only the human queen can pass through. Everyone else will die.
Oh my God.
So, I know.
So he's like, let's just do a full genocide to try and find the...
Let's go. Pretty much, yeah. He's like, I'm going to take everyone if a human queen doesn't come out, because he just doesn't believe that there wasn't a human queen.
Right.
But the humans are like, no one's shown any power, so we can't do anything about that. So while he's up there threatening this whole town, this one girl collapses. And like I said, people were starting to get sick. So this isn't unusual for them to see, but he finds it very weird. So this girl, Emma, collapses, and Luella's right there because she's the healer. So she's like quickly making like this medicine to help her. And the king is like watching her the entire time. All of a sudden, Luke comes in and he's acting weird. He's like, Luella, don't do this. Stop. And he just starts saying weird things to make her to stop helping this girl that collapsed. And then he starts yelling at the king. He's like, don't touch her. And she's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what are you saying?
Right.
So then the king uses his magic to like entrap Luke off on the side. So he does that, and while he's doing that, she heals Emma, and the king is like, you're the queen, you're coming with me. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So then he goes up to her and he rips the necklace off of her that Luke gave her when they were kids. When that happens, she can't see anything, blinding white lights. She hears screams. When she wakes up, there's like plants and trees, like their whole courtyard is like almost a forest now. Because from her, this magic is like spewing out of her.
Oh. So he was suppressing her powers.
Yes, with a necklace.
Okay. Yes. But how did he know?
So when the king, when he did that, the king was like, well, who has been hiding her? And he admits that it was him. When they were little, they used to go exploring in the forest, and he started to notice things like the wind would rustle the leaves anytime she would walk by a tree or touch it. And then he would see like flowers growing wherever she would walk. But it would be like one flower here, one flower there, so she never noticed.
Right.
But because he loved her, he was always watching her, and like he would figure out like this is not normal. So he knew she had powers.
Okay.
And that's why he gave her the necklace. And then I was like, oh, Luke, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be mad at you.
Right. He was just trying to.
That was really sweet. Right.
He was just trying to protect her.
Yeah. I thought that was super.
He was trying to protect her, but then at the same time, it's just like kind of like weird because to be so young and to hoard someone and hide their powers, it's a little creepy.
Funny that you say that because that's exactly how she felt. She was like, this wasn't love. Like, you were trying to hide me, my ability. This was what we are supposed to do. A human queen is born to do this. And so you were like, not only hiding me.
Yeah, not only hiding me, but, you know, also her being the reason kind of people are dying. You know, they're the reason because he suppressed her powers and they couldn't keep the balance, you know. So, like, you were willing to sacrifice tons of people just to hold me. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say that would be love either.
Yeah, she absolutely hated that. And she felt that exact way how you explained it. She was like, he could have come here and killed so many women.
Right.
Taking them over the Fae. He could have started a war. And all because you wanted to keep me. Pretty much. So she was like, get him out of my face. And the king was going to kill him. But then she was like, no, don't. They arrested him. He's off in prison now. So now she's forced to marry this king. And he's got like this power called the knowing, where when you know someone's like true name, you can control them. He knew that she was going to fight him on it. So he controlled her to pretty much say her vows. And they did the whole ceremony in like a minute. And then now they're married. Yes. So what I love so much about her is that she's just not like, she doesn't cower. She's not submissive or anything. She knew right away he did something to her to force them to get married, even though she knew, like, I was going to marry you anyway because this was my fate.
Right.
But she was like, you shouldn't have done that to me. Rude.
Especially when she just had her best friend freaking suppress her whole feelings, and now here comes this guy controlling her.
Exactly. That's like the entirety of the book is her like, people aren't going to control me. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm an adult.
Right.
So it was like, we have to hurry up and get back to Quinar, where he's from, to get to work, because she has work to do. And she's like, I'm going to say bye to my family, so you're going to wait. And she did. Like, he listened to her, and she went and said bye to her family. That's what I like. I don't normally like how they're like, okay, now I have to go with you. Like, I'm imprisoned. Sorry, me. No, she was just like, no, you're going to wait for me. I'm going to go say bye to my family.
Right.
That's what I really liked about her character.
Oh, I like this book so far.
Yeah, it's really good. So she gets to Quinar, to the elven little world, and it's completely different than what she imagined. She thought it was this big magical place, like happy and magical creatures, but it's not. It's dreary, gray, like it's winter, but it shouldn't be winter kind of thing. And that's mainly because there has been no queen, so they couldn't fix anything.
Right.
So her role is basically to sit on the throne and like charge the land to make balance in the world, like basically set the seasons straight.
Okay.
So everything should be nice and spring and summery and things like that. So that's pretty much the role of the queen, to sit on the throne and charge, like a literal charge.
Come on, battery. Come on, battery.
Oh my God. Oh, it sounds a lot better when you read it. Because, like, the things that, like, I won't go too deep into it, but the things that happen when she sits on the throne, it's, like, super magical and pretty and nice, but it literally drains her, and then she's out for a while. And so that's pretty much the role of the queen, and she wants to change that. So throughout her time there, she like starts to get to know the king and like his family, and she realized he isn't so bad. Like he's obviously, she starts to fall for him. He falls for her, but she still feels like she doesn't want to be there. It's not her place to be there. She wants to go back to her family. She feels like he turned her back on her town when she's the only healer. People are dying. So she's basically trying to figure out a way where the human queen doesn't need to be a human, or doesn't need to be somebody who's forced to be a human queen. So if she can set the world straight without needing someone there, she can leave.
Right.
So Eldest, the king, was like, all right, fine. You don't want to be with me, then figure it out. But you have until your coronation to do it. It's like 3 months or something. So she basically figures it out, and it ends in like a happily ever after. I won't go through the whole thing. There's so much drama. There's action. There's sex. And sex. But betrayal, like secrets, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in between all of that, and it's so good. I won't obviously go into detail, but it does end in happily ever after because it is a standalone, so she does finish it. But yeah, it's really good. You have enemies to lovers. You have a one-bed trope. That's always a lot of fun. Slow burn. Newfound powers, obviously, because she finds her powers.
Betrayal.
Yes. And it has, like, the writing is so pretty. Like, the entire time I was always like, oh, that's really nice. Like, there are so many quotes that I wrote down for this book.
Really?
My favorite being the one of the two that I posted. Which was, we smell of honey and taste of forgotten dreams, which was part of one of the sexy scenes. And then the other one is, I see life, he sees death, two sides of the same coin, two halves that require the other to exist. And that's pretty much explaining both the king and the queen and what their roles are. Because there's, like, I didn't even mention anything about the king and, like, his role and what he went through to make him the way he is. Right. And it was so nice to read. I really loved it.
Aww. I'm going to have to read it. I like it.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. It sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited. I'm definitely going to read more of hers because I'm upset that I knew the author and I saw a lot of people liked her books, but I was never interested. Like, I was just like, oh, maybe one day.
And now you're wishing you would have done it a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets like that. You just never know. It's really hard picking authors and books, and like, even though some people are like, oh, give it a try, you know, it might not be for you. So it's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
It's like that from Blood and Ash. I know a lot of people love that and are obsessed with it. I cannot get past chapter 10.
Oh my God. Have you tried again?
Twice.
Oh, you have?
Twice. Yeah. And once I start to get to there, I'm just so bored. Like, I feel like it's, I don't know, it's just very monotone for me. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. So I'm not gonna try again because I feel like I'm just gonna end up giving it a bad review, and that's not fair because I already don't like it. So why would I keep going?
Right. It's tough. There's some stories out there that are tough. Like, you gotta, and like, it's not enjoyable if you have to push through to read a book.
Right.
It's not enjoyable. It's, you know, I'm the type that, like, yes, I need to know how something ends, but at the same time, I don't want to take 5 months to figure it out either. Right. Because I'm reading, like, a chapter here and there when I feel like it, you know? I want to read for enjoyment and not just to figure out what happens in the end.
Yeah, if I get to, like, chapter 3, and I'm just like, do I really want to keep going? And somebody tells me to, I'm going to push through a few more chapters, but if it doesn't change, I'm not going to keep going. Right. And it's like Avatar. Like, you were like, oh, just push through it. Yes. You'll like it, I promise. And then I did, and obviously I loved it, but I know.
I randomly, like, think about it all the time. Like, just different parts. of the stories and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe it's going to the big screen at some point, and we're gonna actually see the characters, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh, I hope I like it.
I know, I'm really nervous about it. What I love now is that I've pushed so many people at work to read all of her books, and there are 3 that are fully committed now. One that is at Crescent City now.
Oh, nice.
So she finished all the other books. And the other one just finished Throne of Glass, but she had already read the rest of them.
Okay.
And then the other one is finishing Throne of Glass now. So, and they're all in it. Like, and then they text me all the time, like, oh my god, I'm at this part. What happens next? Like, trying to figure it out. And I'm reading it over and over and over, which is exciting.
Yeah. Especially seeing other people excited about it. It's like, okay, I do have good taste.
I know.
Because that's the hardest part with, like, reviewing or recommending books is just, like, what if you don't like it and you're just like, why is she reading this? Like, this is trash, you know? So it's a good feeling when someone is enjoying something you read. Like, right now, even though I had a love-hate relationship with it, Colleen Hoover's Reminders of Him. My little sister is reading it right now, and she was like, oh my god, this book. And I'm like, just wait. Just tell me when you're done with the story so that we can talk about it.
Is she not liking it?
No, I think she's enjoying it. And it's just like something different for me because I have like a love-hate relationship with that book. So that's the one where she's making like I think it's like a prequel. And I'm just like, she should have just left it as is. You know, I don't need to know prior to what was, I don't know. Some stories should just be left alone, but that's just me. And it's supposed to be being made into like a movie too, but I haven't heard much about it, so I don't know. But did you see I tagged you in a series? I think it's called like Selection or something. I tagged you in it on Facebook.
Oh, like the Bridgerton type looking.
Yes. Book? Have you read it or heard anything about it?
I have not, but so many people are like recommending it. I don't know, I'm nervous.
Me too. I might have to just read book 1. That might be like one of my summer books.
Is there a show already out on it?
No, I think they're going to be making it a show. And the girl from Stranger Things, the girl that played Max, I guess they're using her as the main character. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. And I don't know how accurate that is. But I just wanted to know, like, have you heard anything about it? Because I've seen it. Not. It's like Selection or something like that.
Huh.
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Look at it.
That might be something I'll have to check out over the summer. But yeah, that's our romance topics podcast episode, all things romance. Please let us know what are the things you like in a good romance novel or story or even series. What are the things that you don't like about it? Are you into the love triangles? What is your favorite meet cute of a story? Make sure you comment in our Instagram post. We would love to hear it. I love romance. I love happy endings. So please, if you have any recommendations, put them in the comments because I'll find time to read them. I love it.
And it'll be a challenge if you can catch my interest.
Right.
Especially if it's like a contemporary romance. Because I don't read much of that. You don't. No. I've read like 2 this year. That's it.
Yee.
I know. So it'll be a challenge. But if you can figure it out, one that I would love, it would be nice.
Yes, definitely. But that is it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we're on again next week and nothing happens. But it's our goal to be back for episode 15 next week. But we hope you enjoy episode 14. And please, if you haven't listened to our other episodes, that was me dropping something like always. Please make sure you listen to our other podcasts. We have 13 that are up. And this is episode 14. So we're super excited.
Yeah.
We made it this far, Jenny. Bye.